this very beginning where I do this, I'm going to move it down, right?
Ready?
Number
He's ready.
126650. Welcome to the Tuesday, February 19th, 2013 meeting of the Hot Springs Board of Directors. Tonight, our invocation will be led by Mrs. Debbie Edwards, to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please stand with me?
Father, we just thank you for this day. What a beautiful day in our city that we've had. Lord, I thank you for each one of these city leaders that's here today, and that they have come because they have a desire to serve and to help our city become a better place. We thank you that they are leaving a legacy of caring, of concern, of trust and honesty and courage. We thank you for this meeting, that everything done here will just be directed and led by you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I hereby call this meeting to order. Would you please call the roll?
Yes. Davidson.
Here.
Jones.
here.
Clark.
Here.
McCabe.
Here.
Garcia.
Here.
Foley.
Here.
Carney.
Here. The first item of business is to consider the approval of the agenda. Are there any corrections, additions, deletions, or modifications to the agenda, including items, if any, to be removed from the consent agenda? And I will say right now that I want to remove item number 1266 from the consent agenda to the regular agenda.
Mayor is referring to agenda item number 7, Public Safety Committee report, number 12166, concerning Central Avenue crosswalks and parking locations. There's someone here to speak to that matter. So if it's the board's pleasure, we'll move that to the first item of new business.
I move to remove item 10 and place it as the second item of new business following the public safety item.
Move item 10. Which one is that?
Water, wastewater. Extension.
Resolution R 1320.
Okay. Remove it and place it on the new business?
Second item under new business.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any others? Okay. Okay. We have an amended consent agenda, moving item number 7, 12. The part of it that is 12166. You want to state that so we'll get it right.
Sure. It's agenda item number 7 under consent agenda. It's part of the Public Safety Committee report, appearing under item number 12-166, concerning Central Avenue crosswalks and parking.
And that's moved to the
First item under new business.
And then to move, do we do those separately?
You can approve them together if you just want to get it all out there.
Okay, let's
Agenda
do it.
item number 10, which is the consideration of resolution R 1320, approving the extension of water and wastewater services to certain locations. If approved, that item would be moved to the second item under new business.
All right. May I have a motion to approve the amendment to the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Is there a second? Okay. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Okay.
Now, Mayor, if you would entertain a motion and a second to adopt the agenda as amended.
I so move.
Second.
Is there, okay. Would you please call the roll?
Yes. Davidson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Carney.
Aye.
Done.
Okay. The agenda is adopted as amended. The next item of business is to consider the approval of the minutes of the board meeting for the special meeting held on January 15th, 2013, and the regular meeting held on February 5th, 2013. Are there any corrections, additions, deletions, or modifications to the minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion is adopted. In an effort to afford everyone an equal and orderly opportunity to address the items on tonight's agenda, I will remind our citizens and our guests that we adhere to a 3-minute limit on your comments. For your convenience, we will display a clock timer in the display monitors above, and out of respect for all of us, we ask that you honor this request. While members of the board may have questions of the speakers, I ask that any general comments or statements be reserved for the board discussion after all the speakers have been heard. We also ask that all cell phones be silenced during the meeting, and please refrain from any disruptions during the meeting. And should you need to leave prior to the conclusion of the meeting, I ask that you do so quietly. And thank you for all of you being here. We appreciate your concern and your interest in our city. At this time, we have some guests to be recognized. First of all, we have donations accepted from Friends of the Park. That would be, who is, Kathy? Yes. Ned. Okay.
Hi, I'm Ned Skoog, and on behalf of Friends of the Parks and Friends of Friends, Spa Pacers, and many other businesses and individuals, it's a pleasure. We want to present a check for $5,000 to the city to go to help with the funding for the Valley Street Creek Walk Bridge. So also have here, I might just mention if I could, John Simpson and Ken Freeman, 2 of our board members.
Would you have them stand up, please? And we want to thank you for being here. Take a picture? Yes. Take a picture, please.
Gladly take that check off his
Oh, yeah. I get Doretha in that picture.
Let's all jump up.
Okay, sure.
1, 2, 3.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, it'd be nice to have guests like that every week. Thank you. Okay, and then we have recognitions of the Hot Springs Community Gardens Network members. Bob Byers is here. Was there someone that was going to introduce Bob? And do we have? Okay,
Gene
please,
Wallace.
yeah, Gene, do that. Come on.
Thank you. I'll be glad to. The Hot Springs Area Community Gardens Network is here tonight. The president, Bob Byers. Bob just wants.
Come on up.
So,
You can come whether you have a check or not. Come on up.
And we have the vice president, Jody Sprague, and also the treasurer, Sharon Dent. And they have prepared their annual report for you, and they are on the consent agenda for contract renewal.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
I just want to thank you all for your support in the past and for considering our request today. And I also want to introduce 2 other of our board members, Cliff Shavers and Shibuzo Chinwa. Thank you very much.
We appreciate all of you and your contribution to our city to make it a much more beautiful place to live. And I like to hear you on the radio, too, Bob. I think you give us a lot of good hints and things to do with our green stuff. Thank you. And now we will hear our city manager's report.
Yeah. If you drive on Central Avenue, you'll probably notice that we have a green fountain. Some people think it's in celebration of St. Patrick's Day, and maybe that's what it is. But I want to thank our Parks and Recreation crew for having the patience and time to assemble the final product that has been bought or is under consideration for purchase by the downtown merchants, the A&P Commission, and the City of Hot Springs. I would encourage residents and visitors to drive by and let your input be known. And you can, I would suggest you either run that by my office or Bob Martirana with the Downtown Merchants at the Arlington Hotel, or Steve Arison with A&P, because we want your input. And but once again, I want to thank the crews for being patient with a item that was really not delivered when it should have been, and we've been trying to make that work, and now I think you see what the final product is, or was meant to be.
Is that it? You're easy.
Short and sweet.
There you go. Okay. Do any of our board members have announcements concerning upcoming events? Director Garcia.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have a couple of announcements, and I wanted to share with you that on Thursday and Friday we have a special visitor in Hot Springs, an international student delegate from Africa will be here and speaking to Garland County students. Kathy Muwumuza, who is from Uganda in East Africa, was among 20 students that were chosen to represent her university, and is at Harvard at a national conference representing them there currently, and will be coming to Hot Springs from there, representing International University in Nairobi, Kenya. And she will be here on a cultural exchange. And on Thursday, she is speaking to juvenile residents at the Garland County Detention Center. But on Thursday, at the Quapaw Center at 6:30 p.m. till 9:30, there is a special event with Kathy, and it's titled the Passion and Purity Event, and it's for girls from the 5th grade through the 12th grade. So at the Quapaw Community Center Ballroom, 500 Quapaw Avenue, there will be food, door prizes, music, and a special speaker from Kathy with this special cultural exchange available to girls, and encourage from any of the school districts to come and participate in this event. For more information, the number to call is 760-2343. And secondly, I wanted to announce that next Tuesday is the Hunger Summit here in Hot Springs that will be at the First United Methodist Church Gymnasium, and registration is from 8 to 8:30, and then a light lunch will be provided, and it's free. Additional participants are needed, and encourage people to participate this for more awareness about the need of food pantries in our community. And if you're interested, or your organization or church is interested in starting a food pantry, to come and find out about that.
And that's sponsored by the Arkansas Food Bank.
Arkansas Food Bank, Tuesday, the 26th.
It's from 8 to 4?
8, well, till 1:30.
1:30, okay.
Mayor,
Yes.
may I?
Yes, you may.
I would like to commend Bill Burrs. I have had more phone calls about you and your crew, the sanitation crew, working through the city, and it makes me proud, you know, when I hear about one of the staff and it's not something ugly. It just does me good. But anyway, also a guy named Darrell who works with the Master Gardeners. Somebody called me and told me to be sure and mention his name. Is it Darrell or Harold? Darrell. Okay. Mm-hmm. Good. Yes, they were out cleaning the park, and I guess this lady was out there, and she said that he was such a nice young man. And I don't want nobody to forget the party fundraiser for Webb Center on Saturday. If you can, come by, please, and just leave us a little donation. It's a fundraiser my pastor's going to be doing some of the music, and he really rocks and rolls with that music. And we have a program where, since this is the end of Black History Month, we have a program where some youngsters are going to be on program. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
What time is that event?
6 p.m., I'm sorry.
And it's at the Webb Center?
No, it's at the Convention Center. And I always say upstairs. It's in 7 and 8, the room numbers, and I call it upstairs because I go through the back. But anyway, it's easier to get to the room from the back door than it is going all.
Up the steps.
Yes, up the steps.
There go the parking places.
Uh-oh, you're right. You weren't supposed to
Now
mention
you're going to
that.
have to walk all the way around the
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'd like to give the community an update on our storm debris removal. To date, 1,180 tons of storm debris has been picked up and burned, and we're only halfway through District 5. So we project that towards the end of next week, which is the last few days of February, or perhaps the following week, the first few days in March, the rest of 5 and all of 6 will be completed. Once completed, there'll be one final sweep through this community. So if you had a tree that you couldn't get to or something that was in the backyard, you just didn't have time, and you were in one of the earlier districts, 1, 2, 3, and possibly 4, there's still time to get that to curbside because the staff will come around and make one final sweep. So you really haven't lost out yet. But please try to get it there towards the end of this week, early next week, because once they come by, that'll be it. So hopefully we don't add to our storm debris tomorrow into Thursday. But that's just a tremendous amount of debris that's been picked up. So the staff's done a great job. And appreciate all their extra efforts. That's it, Mayor.
Is that it? Everybody done? Okay. And we want to make mention that we have to destroy records every now and then. I forgot do you know how long that is? They have to be on hold for a long time before we destroy them?
It varies depending on the record.
For a long time.
Type of record it is.
So Mr. Foley has agreed to witness the destruction of records. Should be fun. So
Burning party.
we looked at the law, and it's a state law that we have to have one director that witnesses that, plus other people have to witness it. So we got to know for sure they've been destroyed. So don't know what they do to you if you let anything slide. So
We'll take a warm day.
he's going to be our appointment for that. Thank you, sir. And yes, that was it. The next business is to consider, the next item of business is consideration of the consent agenda. Items in this section are of a routine nature and will be considered as one item of business without discussion. I will entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Clark,
Aye.
McCabe,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Foley,
Here. Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Carney.
Aye.
Accept.
Okay, and the next item of business is is that a resolution on public safety? What
It's
do we
just the
call
public
that?
safety report.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, just going back one, could we publicly thank those who donated the real property on Golf Link storage for their
Yes.
donation to the city, please?
Yes, we will do that. And that was
Gene, would
Mr.
you like to come up and identify those folks for us, please?
Yes, tonight, thank you very much. Tonight we have Sandra and Andrew Canton. They are representatives from AA Storage World. Come on up. And this is the business that just donated a little over an acre for the Hot Springs Creek Greenway Trail.
Thank you very much.
And did we have someone else that wasn't here? What was that?
Appointment to the Housing Authority, Mayor.
Yes, we can mention that too. We had on the consent agenda, there was a confirming the appointment of Dr. Charlene Clay to the Housing Authority, and I don't think she is here. Great. Come here. You sneaked in after we got started. Would you please come up? Thank you. And she's been appointed to the Housing Authority.
Yes, she used to be
We appreciate that. Thank you. Would you like to give greetings?
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad that I was appointed to the Housing Authority. I represent the residents that live there every day, and I hope to do the best that I can.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
The Levi Hospital.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay,
pretty
was
lady.
that anyone else on there that we skipped? The Gilberts did not come, right?
That was the AA storage.
That was the AA storage. Okay, we got it all. I have little notes on there that I didn't read.
Not a full cup. Thank y'all. Good night.
All right, and item 7 is a part of the Public Safety Committee. And Bill, would you like to come present that, please?
Certainly. Thank you, Mayor, members of the board, Bill Burrow, your deputy city manager. And I'd like to also say thank you very much for recognizing the efforts of sanitation, our street department, our compost employees, even our Parks and Rec for doing the work in the parks. It's been very taxing on them during this time of this cleanup, so I really appreciate you recognizing their efforts. This particular item, 12-166 on the Public Safety Report, again, this is a recommendation from your Public Safety Committee. As you know, we've had many times numerous issues come up in our downtown area regarding our crosswalks, parking, whatever that may be. And we brought those kind of piecemeal to you, and the last one was a crosswalk on Bass Street. And it was at that time the board asked us to return back to the Public Safety Committee and kind of look at all of the crosswalks from the Whittington Park area down to Reserve Street, in which we did so. This particular recommendation comes from those findings. I can go through each one. I know Mr. Gill's here on a specific issue regarding the parking spot. But for brevity, I'll just say that each one of the crosswalks have been reviewed, as well as some traffic patterns. There's some additional hashing and striping that we'll be doing in the Park Avenue Whittington area, as well as restriping some of the stop bars and all of the crosswalks from Whittington to Reserve. In the northernmost crosswalk there at the merge of Whittington Park onto Central Avenue, there is a parking spot on the east side of the road. It's the first parking spot on Central Avenue, which you can see depicted in that graph. That is a red vehicle in the parking spot that we're discussing. As part of this recommendation, again, you'll see the stripe coming down Whittington to designate that as a lane. A lot of drivers think that lane ends and they need to merge. Coming from the park end, you'll see the hashed marks there coming south from Park. A lot of folks think that's a lane. And so when they enter that particular section, they have to merge over. So we're trying to straighten that particular intersection up. In so doing, we also looked at that one parking spot, and that's been an issue that we brought to the board on numerous occasions. The last was changing this particular parking spot to a compact vehicle versus losing the parking spot altogether. The results, we really have not achieved the results we were looking for in making that a compact car. There are several types of vehicles that continue to park there. The police really don't have a mechanism to police, basically to write any kind of citations for a compact car being there versus any other car. So what we find are, we don't have a lot of enforcement there. So it could be a van, it could be a truck, it could be anything that parks there, and we've seen all kinds. So our recommendation was to totally remove that, because it does, when a vehicle is parked there, it does prevent drivers heading north on 7 Central Avenue from being able to see people that are queued in that crosswalk until they're actually committed in the crosswalk. So from a safety standpoint, we are recommending that we remove that crosswalk in addition to the other changes I just mentioned to that crosswalk. If there's any other portions of the crosswalks moving through downtown, I'll be glad to address those individually. Otherwise, we can discuss this issue.
Thank you. We have Mr. Gale?
Yeah, I think Mr.
Gale.
Big Gale? Yes.
Hello, everybody. My name's Rick Gale. I've lived at 107 Bayride, Hot Springs, Arkansas. I'm a lifetime citizen of Hot Springs. And the Colonial Pancake and Waffle House at this crosswalk has been there for 51 years now. I took over the business 8 years ago, and in the time that my family has been there, let me see if I can tear this up. The time that I've been there, there has been, can I sit down?
Yeah.
Sure. Probably need the microphone.
Oh, there. Does that come up here?
People killed in that crosswalk, 3 as a matter of fact. I have seen myself hundreds get hit, and I have seen thousands upon thousands dodge cars. I am an advocate of making that a safe crosswalk. I am not opposed to that. But the issue that's coming about is, if you look at the picture, how do you see traffic coming with that sitting in a did you see what parking, what they're sitting in? A handicapped parking spot. They're not supposed to be there, but as you can see, he's unloading his load right there. All right. This is on the Tillman side looking back up Whittington. With the SUV sitting there, you cannot see a car until it is right there at that car coming down Whittington. A bus, yes, you can see it, and I'm standing in the crosswalk. This is on my side, standing in the crosswalk, fixing to cross. You can see the car on the right-hand side, and you can see cars coming. But if you'll notice, that is a compact car sitting there. And who classify that, I don't know. All right, now, if you'll notice where this car is parked, he's dead center of the crosswalk. All right, now there's 2 pedestrians going across. Where are they now? They're out in the street. They have to walk completely around the car. There's the license plate if you want to write a ticket. There's another vehicle, but they're far out coming around Whittington and not hugged up tight against the cars. There's the car that was in the crosswalk that we just saw. All right, there's a big bus. That's a city bus coming around right there, one of the small city buses. A compact car. Takes 30 feet. It takes, for 30 miles an hour, it takes 60 feet for a car to stop. That car right there, if he hit his brakes right now, could stop before he got to the crosswalk. Now, here's Mr. FedEx. This is, if looking across at Tillman's, across the street, y'all know how big a FedEx truck is. They are committed out into the street, especially with that curve being on Tillman's side, to clear themselves coming around. They have got to commit themselves into the street. There it is from a farther view. That's my pretty car right there. And as you can see, looking down Central, you can see Fair. But the issue that I have to put before you is, yes, it is a very unsafe crosswalk, and yes, something needs to be done about it. Mayor, you remember what we did?
Yeah.
The mayor was courteous enough. I spoke to her a year ago about this matter, and what we came up with was that she had a meeting with the Arkansas Highway Traffic Department, all the heads of that department. She invited me. The only way I could go is if she invited me. She did. I put this before them about this crosswalk. You know, they're fixing to make that 4-lane up to Whittington coming from north.
No, they're not. Not now.
Not now? Well, that was what I proposed to them, and I said, you can't do that without making that crosswalk safe. Well, they agreed to hire an engineering firm to come up with a solution for this crosswalk. Did they not, Mayor?
Yeah, that was the MPO, and it's a state highway. So we've been on that. They're still working on that. So, yeah, appreciate all your. I know that's your job.
Right. I've been there for 8 years, and I see this every single day, all day long. It's not just occasional. This, I mean, it continues all day long. But the issue is not in clearing out the parking. I mean, we can clear that whole street. The issue is they come 60 miles an hour down that street and hit people.
Right.
So I'm not a specialist. I don't know what to do about it. All I know is that, yes, it is a problem, but taking my 0.875 parking spot away from me right now, don't do it.
Okay.
It's I understand, and as the mayor can tell you, I am sympathetic with this issue and am working on it myself. But we're limited already in parking downtown. Taking away one spot when we just got 2 more downtown, don't do that. We don't need that. It's a safety issue that the state needs to handle.
Thank you. Appreciate your coming. Appreciate your interest. Do y'all have any questions for him or for Bill at this time?
Do we have a period of evaluation, Bill, if we implement the recommendations? Do we have a period where we can get a report back to see whether, in fact, it is effective in our opinion? I mean, the testimony would strike us differently than that. So if I would be comfortable if we had a follow-up if we're going to do this.
We'll be glad to follow up. I mean, Director Foley, this is a follow-up from many, many complaints that we've had about that particular crosswalk.
I'm just talking about the solution.
But certainly, we could always come. You could put this parking spot back in the future if you so choose. After seeing Mr. Gale's slides, we may be coming back in the future to take the spot on the west side. We know that this is a dangerous crosswalk. That is not the issue. We know that. And all we're trying to do is make it safer. And I have to believe that removing the crosswalk in front of that 100 block of Central will do so. And in appearing...
Removing the parking spot.
The parking spot, correct. And I believe that it would do so. You know, we were there on many days looking at this traffic patterns and observing that. I did not observe during the times I was there the UPS, the FedEx, those issues on that west side, or we would have been bringing that to you as well. We'll be glad to continue to monitor this. And again, you know, that's going to take staff just basically standing there looking at it. But we'll be glad to do that. Hopefully the highway department will continue to look at the entire intersection. But it's your direction, what you so choose.
That maybe we're a little bit premature to thinking that would solve it, that one spot, because what are the numbers of spaces we have downtown are very limited, right?
They are, but you know, I do want to remind you there is parking on Canyon Street. Yeah. There is, you know, there's parking now being used across from the old Majestic Hotel. I mean, I know one of the restaurants there has started using some of that. I don't know if that's available for our downtown area all the way. I don't know. I have not addressed that.
Is that contracted, or did they get permission to use it? I know they marked it off, but it's got big signs. It says Majestic only. I don't know if that means anything.
Mayor, I did not look at that. We were only looking at the safety of the crosswalk. But I would assume some of the business owners down there that have contacted them are able to use that. Hopefully that would be open to all the business owners, but I did not check on that. It's your pleasure. I mean, this is our recommendation, and we'll be glad to do whatever the board would like us to do
with it.
Are
we still in touch with I know we are with the MPO, but are they still is the MPO still working on a solution for that area, which they said they would?
I'll defer that to the MPO policy board or the technical board of the MPO. I know Gary, Mr. Carnahan is serving on that as well. He may have additional information there.
We can double check this, but my understanding is that the State Highway Department spent multiple days observing that crosswalk and reported back to us that it was not, there was no change was required, that it was not any more dangerous than other crosswalks similar, and they did not recommend that we make any changes to it. So as far as I know, the MPO Technical Committee has no active work being done on that crosswalk.
So they didn't recommend that we take out parking spaces?
No. Okay. And, you know, I think the word earlier was, will taking out that parking space solve the problem? No. We didn't, I'm on the safety committee also. I don't think we meant that it would solve the problem. We just think that it will add visibility to someone stepping out into the traffic from that side of the street. So.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
On the west side, where the crosswalk comes to the other side of the street, is that a parking space there? It's all painted yellow.
Director Garcia, I believe that is one of the spaces that we've changed to a loading zone. I will have to confirm that.
Well, during the past week, 50% of the time that I've come through there, which averaged at least twice a day, that I could not see. There was a vehicle large enough that blocked the people coming from west to east as well.
You found that it did obscure that vision?
Yes, and I thought they weren't parked there. I thought they were not supposed to be parked there, so I thought it was a violation of parking. But if they can park there all the time.
If you'd like to amend this report or amend this recommendation or direct us, we'll remove that as well.
No, I just wondered if that was looked at, too.
When we were there, we did not see an issue with it. And Denny McFate, Mr. Carnahan, and myself spent quite a bit of time in that downtown area. Certainly, I don't see as much as someone that travels that regularly. I don't see it as much as Mr. Gale being right there. I mean, I'm limited to the amount of time I'm able to spend in that area as well as other staff. But during the times we were there, we did not see an issue. And again, Mr. Carnahan is correct. We have received information back from the Highway and Transportation Department as we've asked them to look at left-right turns coming out of the restaurant there on the corner, Fat Jack's. And again, they consider that to be no more dangerous than any other intersection that we have or areas of town. Our charge was to bring you recommendations, and if you want to keep the parking spot there, we can do so and continue with the rest of the improvements with the hashing, the lines, and the crosswalks. But as we looked at those, you asked us to look at those and make recommendations, and that's what we've done.
Do you bring out the thing in the road? Because somebody mentioned to me that it wasn't in the road the other day. When you go by, is that thing sitting in the road like they have downtown?
It's hit.
A thing.
It got hit?
It gets hit a lot.
It was when we were there, but we have to replace those.
Oh,
yeah. Right there it is.
Where?
Right on the picture.
Oh, it's on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Plant stake.
It's been run over.
It's
been run over.
Again, part of the problem is where that particular sign is. Again, we think that we will. This intersection, people are merging. When we were there, there were cars stopping. They were going everywhere. And I don't know how I'm not a traffic engineer, but we've had them there, and I don't know how they didn't observe what we did. But there were cars stopping. There were cars merging. There were two cars merging at times from Park Avenue. So that's why we've changed the one solid line coming from Whittington to show them that is a lane that doesn't end. We have hashed out the second lane, which is not really a lane, coming from the park side. And we think by solidifying those two travel lanes that motorists will be able to see that those lanes don't end, because as they're trying to merge is when they're running over this particular sign. You know, we've done about everything that I can think of with other than lights and red lights and everything else in this area. We've got signs, we've got ballards in the street, we've got crosswalks.
What if, the kind of red light that if it was a light there that you pushed and the light turned red and they just stopped only when there was a pedestrian? Do they have that kind? Like only when a pedestrian crosses? That a car has to stop.
But the highway department would have to approve
They have
the
to do
lights.
that.
That's
Not a traffic light, but a pedestrian red light.
Not to my knowledge. We can, again, check with the Highway and Transportation Department, but they have they have looked at that and did not think it met the warrants of making any changes.
We're trying to solve a problem here that we had a committee look at and make a recommendation on.
I'm just asking if they did.
I'm just wondering if it would be appropriate that we set a time certain that we come back and revisit this. If it hasn't changed, the only options you have are to put stoplights in there or remove the sidewalk for the safety of the people. Those are the only two options I think you've got. So I would move that this be approved as recommended with the consideration of a relook in 6 months.
Karen?
There's a motion.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
beg your pardon.
Is there a second?
Yeah.
There's a second. Now discussion. Director Garcia, if you still have comments.
I had a question. When we take parking spaces out like this, or at any time, is Bill or David, or is there anyone that is looking within the city of how we other options to build upon getting additional parking or for downtown to encourage our downtown business initiatives?
I can address that. If you recall, we've just renumbered the parking spots in the entire downtown area in efforts to, we've measured them, trying to pick up additional spots, and I think we did pick up maybe two additional spots during that time. But and that was from point A to point B and coming back the other side. We have squeezed every parking spot that we can possibly get out of the downtown area. That was one of the reasons we left that one there as a compact vehicle. But again, that has not produced the results we were hoping for. The only other thing that we know to do is what we're recommending is to remove that. And again, we can come back and look at it. The other recommendations, and we've had a host of recommendations at this particular crosswalk. Mm-hmm. And on I think on at least 2 occasions, we've recommended removing the crosswalk and letting them cross down at the Canyon Street. But that recommendation has not been followed. So again, we're trying to move through this with small changes until we get to the desired effect. And we may not get there. And as Director Foley stated, we may be back at some point asking to remove the crosswalk.
That's probably a good idea. Good. Any other discussion?
I have one question. Has there ever been any questions to the highway department about lowering the speed, or has that come up, or is that just not a consideration? It was dark. I was going south and coming around, and all of a sudden, and the other night, and there's somebody in the crosswalk, and I did not see them. You know, I guess people are not growing up hearing wear light clothing, mm-hmm. you know, when you're walking around traffic, because I didn't, and all of a sudden, and I had to either go through real quickly or hit the brakes, and you don't have enough time.
We've asked the highway.
I'm just going to make myself start slowing down, but it is just, you can't see at night somebody's walking in it either direction.
I do not recall us asking them to look at that speed. However, with what we've done in that downtown area, I would be very surprised if that has not been part of that in the past.
25. This came up at our Park Avenue Community Association meeting last night to see if we could have it lowered to say 25 miles an hour from, you know, maybe the Fountain to maybe Bridge or the Confederate Square, something like that, where there is such high foot traffic. It's just an idea we can find out.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I'm just going to say I'm sensitive to the issue of parking spots, but I'm more sensitive to public safety, and I don't have a great comfort level when the highway department says it's no worse than any other. You know, I live here, and if somebody gets hurt, you know, next week because we don't approve something, you know, that'll weigh on me heavily. With regards to the other side of the street, you know, it makes sense that we shouldn't have a loading zone north of that, of the southbound traffic for the, you know, north of the crosswalk on the southbound lane. You know, it needs to be south of the crosswalk so it doesn't obscure. Plus, we have a hash mark on the curve there, which I think is a loading zone, so we could make the FedEx truck and UPS park there and wheel down an extra 50 feet to get, obviously they have to go farther if there's much farther south. But I'm sensitive to this visibility issue, and the gentleman indicated that he's seen 3 people killed there. And I mean, what more do we need? I understand his point with the parking. I don't know if that one spot can be moved north of the crosswalk, but we gotta protect the crosswalk. I mean, the motorists, like Suzanne indicated, even if you're driving safely, if somebody steps out in front of a FedEx, you don't have a whole lot of time.
Right.
I worry about children darting. We're trying to be a family tourist community. It doesn't have to be dodgeball down there.
Make a recommendation.
Yes.
How much would it cost to put not a police officer, but a servant of the police department in that crosswalk with a sign just like they use in a school area? Just through the winter or through the summertime when we have the heaviest flow of visitors. At least then we would have some control over that crosswalk. Right now there's no control. And, I came here knowing that the odds are I'm going to lose the parking spot. That's fine. It'll cut it down to 0.834 parking spots per business. But it's not going to stop it. People are going to park there anyway. He even said it's a place where police don't enforce because it's too hard an area to pull over to write a ticket. It's not going to make any difference. People are going to park in it anyway. So it's an issue okay, we try it, but I know what you're going to find. They're going to park right there anyway. And it's not going to be enforced. The biggest problem we have right now is no enforcement and the speed and the obedience of the traffic laws for that crosswalk.
Well, my concern is, too, both of you said that removing that won't solve the problem. And also, from your pictures, you showed that those big trucks are parking in handicap parking places. And we've got other violations all over the place, it looks like.
Right.
So that if that's not going to solve the problem, and I think you took your picture with no car parking there, and it still showed that there was no visibility.
There's a truck there you can't see.
There's no visibility without the car there.
Right.
So I'm looking at it thinking we're not making public safety safer. It's not solving the problem. So I'm thinking we should go deeper than where we're going and maybe remove the crosswalk.
Or put a full-time person out there.
Something like that, or move the crosswalk down to the next corner, by the hotel.
One of the biggest problems with that crosswalk is when the people merge off of Wington and Park, they're not worried about the crosswalk. They're worried about this guy merging with them, fixing to run into them.
Mm-hmm.
And they freak out and start watching his car, and they turn around, wham, there's a person in front of them.
Yeah. So I think we're just dealing with not the root cause, but we're just dealing with the little stuff, and maybe our root cause goes a lot deeper than what we're looking at. So we're just,
Our hope is that the changes we're making with the traffic lanes will produce more visibility from the motorist of that crosswalk, because hopefully they will see what we're doing here and realize that they have control of the driving lane and there is no need to merge either way. And we hope that will improve the visibility.
Call for the question.
Okay. Would you please call the roll?
Yes. McCabe.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Carney.
No.
Motion adopted.
The next item of business is consider ordinance number 01310. First of all, I will entertain a we skipped one.
Agenda item number
got
10.
Moved down.
Agenda item number 10.
Okay. Resolution number R1320. Would you please read by title?
Resolution number R1320, a resolution approving the extension of water and wastewater service to certain locations. That concludes a reading of the resolution, Mayor. The title only. If you would now entertain a motion and second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. And discussion. Would that be Mr. Carnahan?
Thank you. Recently, we had a new, the Harp store, Harp's Grocery, want to build a new store on Thornton Ferry Road off of Albert Pike. And now we have a request that they want to build a new store on South Central across the bridges at Amity Road, right behind the Simmons Bank, and there's a liquor store there, a big empty lot back behind that bank, you may recall. The store will be 31,500 square feet, and it will hire about 80 employees. Most of those are part-time employees.
Yeah.
And you know about that, don't you, Ms. Johnson?
Yes, sir.
And the water demand from the store like that is equivalent to like 5 homes. We have a water main on Central Avenue and on Amity Road that they can tap. They want to run an 8-inch main with 2 new fire hydrants up to the corner of the store for fire protection. And we have an 8-inch sewer main already across that property in an easement on the property. So it will be easy for them to tap into that sewer main. So because of our ordinance 5555, we can't give them permission to do that unless you approve it. So we're asking for your approval.
Okay. We didn't have anyone signed up, did we, for that? No. Okay. Questions?
Mr. Carnahan, I have received some calls in regards to the sewer connections, and it was from citizens that were concerned about extensions. We continue extensions outside of the city, and that we had issues that have not been resolved within the city, and concern about reaching capacity within our sewer system. A lot of concerns about that. And it's hard to have a good answer to the city citizens with those concerns because of the situation we're in and still being under adjournment order. And we know that there are areas in the city that we do have that where you have projects to rectify and to improve, but how do we continue to justify that before we have all of our city issues taken care of?
Well, I don't know. It's a tough question. But we do. I mean, we have a large water and sewer system that's been built over these years, and as we all know, it covers, I think, 100. Our water system covers over 100 square miles. So, and like in this particular case, if we can zero in on it, essentially what we have is since we have city water and sewer mains on this property, if we say no to them connecting to that, essentially, we're saying no one can build on that piece of property because the health department requires if you're within 300 feet of a sewer main, you can't build a septic tank system, which wouldn't be appropriate anyway, I don't think, for a store like this. And certainly a clean water supply, drill a well. What could you do there there could get no fire protection. So essentially we have, if we say no to this, where we have water sewer facilities all around it, we essentially take away the value of that property in a way, the way I look at it. And we have taken away their option to have water and sewer service. So I think the only way we can justify that, I believe, is to say that over time we have made business decisions to improve properties in the county by providing water and sewer service to them. Other previous administrations made those decisions, and now you all have inherited that condition, that here we are. And we do have a plan, and we're working through the plan to improve those old water and sewer mains, especially the sewer system like you're talking about. But it's going to cost millions of dollars, as we've already spent about $26 million, and we're going to need to spend more. But it's spread out over, it's not just localized. It's the main part of the trunk part of the city that has to be restored, and the main pump stations. And so you can't just put a finger on one area and say that's the problem. We have to repair really the trunk of the whole city. So all the citizens, I think it's a deal where we all benefit by having each other. We all benefit by having all these businesses and all these recreational opportunities in the lake and the downtown here. And so we're kind of banded together so that we're, by paying our water bill and our sewer bills, we're really helping each other solve a general problem, a widespread problem. But your point is well taken. I don't know that that's a good answer at all. I was just talking, I think, more than trying to give you an answer. But it's a difficult problem, and then we can think of it in broad terms, and then we come back to a specific request like this that brings it home. So.
But if we did have a real capacity concern from your perspective, you would bring that to us?
Yes, ma'am. We have had, since I've been here, we've had mostly on the west side of town, because we're rebuilding that Fairwood pump station, all that, we've had to say no to 2 different subdivisions out there, and other people that we've had to look at and say, we just don't have capacity to handle that. This particular area we can handle. So it depends, too, on how much are you asking for. In this case, we can handle the store in the pipelines that we have now. If it was a huge water user or a huge wastewater generator, we'd probably say no, we can't do it. Our pipes have some capacity, but not a lot of capacity. So it is a judgment decision, and which are the hardest, you know.
Yeah, I think Mr. Watkins needs to address it, too.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, you've delegated to me from now on the, I guess, responsibility of weighing the ordinance number 5555, and I'll be reporting to you what I'm recommending. To that end, we are developing, as Gary mentioned, we are developing some review criteria so that it's not just a hit and miss type thing, so we could, explain it to you and you could explain it to your constituents. But I think the policy issue that the city engineer framed very well is that the utility, made a decision years ago to run water mains and sewer mains in and outside the city. That was a decision. You had some water mains and sewer mains obviously go across people's property. Easements were given. Developments were built. Now we're dealing with the after effect of policy that if a sewer main or a water main is available to that property owner, like adjacent to, tangent to, then as a utility, I would submit you have an obligation to serve. Now, I think where you make a policy decision is if you are being asked to take on somebody else's effluent issue, like the 2 subdivisions that were cited by Gary. It sounds to me like the board made an appropriate decision there, that you've got an obligation to serve your customers or potential customers now. Those are out there, unless you want to put a moratorium on all hookups throughout the system, which I would not recommend. That would be an economic calamity. So what I am thinking this policy will end up with is, if we are being asked to grow the system, move into a greenfield site, facilitate a whole new development that we never anticipated in our facility planning, then that's where I think you weigh in on, through me, that we can't expand the system like that. Or if we do, it's got to be accompanied by some type of capital charge, pre-treatment, something that would mitigate the load that would put on our system now. And so, I don't want to say we would never do that, but it'd have to be something that you could prove financially and economically that there was a short payback.
Madam Mayor. I have some real concerns. I read 5555, and I have some real concerns from our constituency's perspective, and that is we can have a reason or not have a reason, depending on how we want to interpret 5555. And the fact of the matter is, I got a lot of compliments about your decision with the Lake Hamilton School District, that we are now taking a stand that says we don't have the capacity until we get ourselves fixed. We shouldn't be going out and connecting anybody. I am not in favor of a moratorium. I agree with you. I think it would be a financial calamity for us. But I am in favor of tabling this until you do come up with those guidelines that we can take a look at, and that we can, in fact, explain to the public why we're moving in a direction. We don't even have an idea of where we're going. 7 south, 270 west, 270 east, 70 west, 70 east, in terms of what the city needs. And so I'd like to move, or I don't think there's a motion. I'd like to move that we table this until we get those guidelines.
Motion and a second to table. That motion takes priority over any other motion. So, Mayor, unless there's discussion about how long it's to be tabled, you'll call for the vote.
Is there discussion about
how long would you like to table it?
Until we get the guidelines. Until we get the guidelines presented to the board for their consideration.
Am I missing something in this part? Because I thought we gave that responsibility to you to make the decision to do the 5.
That requires an amendment to the ordinance.
Point of order, there is a motion and a second to table. That takes priority over all other motions and must be voted upon unless it's rescinded.
Okay.
To speak to your question, I'll just clarify. At your retreat, you discussed the delegation of that authority, but the only way you can amend 5555 is by a new ordinance, and you do not have a new ordinance on the floor for your consideration at this time.
Okay. All right. Thought we agreed. Okay. There is a motion and a second.
You did agree, but you can't vote at a retreat. You have to have an ordinance on the table.
Right. We need to do an ordinance. Okay. Whatever we agreed on. There is a motion and a second to table. Would you please call the roll?
Yes. Foley?
Aye.
Davidson?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
McCabe?
No.
Garcia?
Aye.
Carney?
No.
Passes.
Okay.
I would certainly recommend that the city staff move as quickly as possible. I don't know where Harps is at with their building plans. So, does anybody know that where they're at with planning?
They explained to me that they wanted to break ground in March. They already own the property. This particular piece of property is outside our city planning jurisdiction as far as, well, let me say it this way. Our planning code
Excuse me.
has a...
Hold on just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Could we hold a sidebar conversation so that I can hear him, because I find it very
You
distracting?
can listen to him. I'm
apologize.
talking to our attorney about a consideration, and you can listen to him. But I'm sorry, okay?
When I hear you over him, it is a problem, Mayor. Thank you. I just would appreciate that consideration.
You are
Thank you.
out of order.
Sorry, Mr. Carnahan. Go ahead.
I'll be happy to wait.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Whatever
Jim.
your pleasure. Should I go on? But anyway, they
yes, you
can
may go
build. They don't have to get a building permit. Okay, first of all. Secondly, since they are building on a lot that is already platted and they are not asking to subdivide it or split it at all, they're going to just build on the lot they purchased. They don't have to go through the Planning Commission or the Planning Department. So there is no city review except for us to review their water main and sewer extension
Yeah, I think I
plants.
used probably improper terminology there, and I apologize. But certainly, if there's not the assurance that they're going to be able to have a hookup for water and sewer,
I'll
or
communicate
their
that.
ability to break ground, which the 1st of March is next Friday, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. Well, they told me they wanted to break ground in March, but I'll communicate to them tomorrow what the board's decision is here.
I'd like to apologize to Harps for delaying this project. However, I don't feel like we are making decisions with all the facts right now, and that's why I've asked for it to be tabled until we get the guidelines that we can act upon.
We can do that.
Okay, all of this is out of order, and that's what I was asking for. Okay, we cannot have this discussion because you chose to take it all. It's all out of order. We cannot go on. You'll have to find out your information somewhere else. And that's what I was asking for, a point of order from the attorney, because we cannot ask that question now because we took it off the table. Okay?
Thank you.
Well, if I remember correctly, I just encouraged the city staff to move as quickly as possible.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. And we need to have a point of order so that we're not breaking any rules. Okay, sorry.
Agenda item 16, Mayor.
Okay, the next item of business to consider resolution number R1326. Would you please read the resolution by title?
Resolution R1326, a resolution approving a lease purchase agreement with AT&T for the procurement of ShoreTel phone system for City Hall Annex, and Bill Edwards Financial Center, and awarding a contract to AT&T for utilities customer services call center module pursuant to the State of Arkansas Cooperative Purchasing Program. That concludes your reading. You now entertain a motion, a second, to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, would you please, who's the staff person? Jeff.
Jeff Winter, I'm the IS Director for the City of Hot Springs in Garland County. Basically what we have is the phone system that we have for this building and 2 other buildings is 10, 12 years old. We had a failure of that system. We were able to overcome that, but during the failure process, we found out that the system we have is no longer viable. It's not repairable. We were just lucky to have a spare laptop hard drive out of a laptop to be able to repair the phone system. Otherwise, the vendor wasn't going to be able to repair it. So what you have before you is a proposal to replace that aging phone system in those 3 buildings, and a plan to pay for that over a period of time. So I think it's pretty straightforward. Is there any questions in particular?
My question is about the police and fire, because I have received complaints for the police phone system after hours not rolling over to dispatch as it should, and I've personally witnessed that at the police station. And are there any price breaks additionally, has those systems even been looked at? Because that's a public safety concern as well.
Yes, ma'am, and the answer is no. There's not been any consideration for those. In the past, we have had some, and that wasn't part of this plan. I'll tell you, there is a price break. This is state contract pricing, so it is what it is. We didn't really negotiate that, so it would still be available beyond this date. The only special consideration we're actually getting with this bid, I think, is the phone handsets themselves. They offered us a deeper discount than normal, and that's only extended for a couple more days, which is $3,000 savings out of the $81,000 cost. So otherwise, everything else is off state contract, and we plan to take this system and then hopefully expand it to other opportunities as well with police, fire, and other places.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Davidson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Carney.
Aye.
Adopted.
Okay. The next item of business is to consider ordinance number O1310. First of all, I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
Move.
Second.
Okay. All in favor of the motion to suspend the rules and read by title, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Council, would you read by title?
Ordinance 01310, an ordinance authorizing a contract for services with Hot Springs Boys and Girls Club, waiving the requirements of competitive bidding and for other purposes. That concludes reading, Mayor. If you would now entertain a motion and second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Do I have a motion to adopt? Is there a second? Okay. And discussion. Who is that? Do you have that, Lance?
I can. This has been the annual contract with the Hot Springs Boys and Girls Club for their summer baseball program. What we've done in the past is this is a contract for services. So the contract amount is $30,000, and basically we pay it in 2 installments. And these funds were budgeted in the 2013 budget, and this of course runs for the 2013 year as well.
Mayor, just for the benefit of the public, the contract with the Hot Springs Boys and Girls Club that's been entered into up to this point requires that they provide to the board for public inspection a statement of financial activities, and that is contained within your packet.
Okay. Any questions? Discussion? Hearing none, would you please call the roll?
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
McCabe. Aye. Garcia.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. Okay, it passes. The next item of business is to consider ordinance number 01311. I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to read the rules and to suspend the rules and read by title only. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Would you please read by title?
Ordinance 01311, an ordinance awarding a contract to Nexus Store and waiving the requirements of competitive bidding for a joint City of Hot Springs, Garland County purchase of certain sole source equipment, Nimble CS220 sand storage device, and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you now entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Okay, do I have a motion to adopt?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, and discussion. Who has that one?
Jeff Winter.
Jeff.
Hello again. Again, I'm Jeff Winters, IS Director for the City of Hot Springs and Garland County. Basically what we have here is we budgeted funds for the upgrade of some of our server storage space for the City of Hot Springs, and Garland County also budgeted funds for that as well. And so what you have before you is a proposal to use those budgeted funds to make a joint agreement. It's a total $32,000 purchase approximately, and of which the city is going to be paying $18,500 of that. So that's the reason it's for the board, because it exceeded the $20,000.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
Any questions? Okay, hearing none, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Clark.
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. Okay. The next item of business is to consider ordinance number 01312. I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read by title only. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Brian, would you please read by title only?
Ordinance 01312, an ordinance amending the purchasing ordinance of the City of Hot Springs, Arkansas, ordinance number 5387 as amended by amending section 2-6-1.6, cooperative purchasing and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you now entertain a motion, a second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Okay. Second. Okay. And Aretha.
Thank you. I'm Doretha Yates, Finance Director for the city. And the item before you tonight is to request approval of an ordinance that would allow the city manager to authorize us to participate in the purchasing agreements. Up to this point, a decision was made to bring them to the board one by one as we came across them. But the state law does allow us to participate in these. So by giving this authority to the city manager, we would simplify the process and maybe in some circumstances give us a little, the ability to move a little faster and take advantage of certain opportunities. So this is a fairly routine matter. It's already approved by state law, and we're just asking you guys to approve the city manager's authority to do this.
Any questions? Okay. Thank you. Hearing no discussion, would you please call the roll?
McCabe.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Carney.
Aye.
Adopted.
It passes. The next item of business is to consider ordinance number 01313. First of all, I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read by title only. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Would you please read by title only?
Ordinance 01313, an ordinance authorizing amendments to the budget for the City of Hot Springs, Arkansas for the year 2012 and for other purposes. That concludes your reading. If you now entertain a motion and a second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
And Aretha. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a routine housekeeping matter, making sure that all of our 2012 budget numbers are sufficient. We have a very, very small number of budget adjustments this year for 2012. I think this is a great reflection on our department heads who have done a good job of staying within our budget. Most of them were due to items that really were sort of beyond our control. The two major items are airport for fuel. As we use more fuel, obviously, and the price of fuel goes up, sometimes it's a little harder to determine exactly what that number should be. So there's a fairly large number there. Another number is for a write-off of bond issuance cost in the wastewater fund due to the accounting change. Other than that, they're fairly small. I think probably in my almost 9-year history, this is probably the smallest list we've had. So I'm pleased about that.
Okay. Any questions?
Somebody's in charge.
Okay. Hearing no other questions, would you please call the roll?
Garcia.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye.
Carney.
Aye.
Adopted.
The next item of business is to consider ordinance number 01314. I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay. I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Would you please read by title only?
Ordinance 01314, an ordinance authorizing amendments to the budget for the City of Hot Springs, Arkansas for the year 2013 and for other purposes. That does conclude the reading. If you now entertain a motion and second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
And a second. And discussion. It's you again.
January and February accountants always get confused about what year they're in. This is for 2013, and we have a couple of budget adjustments that have already come up this year. First one's for the phone system that you just approved. There's a few budget adjustments that we needed to make in order for that phone system to be able to be purchased and the budget be sufficient, so that's one of the adjustments. The other is for a contract for wastewater. This was one that we need to move forward on one of the force mains, and we did not have sufficient funding in the bond proceeds, but we do have sufficient funding in the wastewater fund, and we felt like it's important to move forward on this. So that's the reason for that budget adjustment.
Thank you. Do you have any questions? No questions? Okay. Would you please call the roll?
Yes. Foley.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. Okay. It's approved. Now, the last item of business is the Board of Directors' comments. Do we have any comments? Now, Mr. McCabe, you may make your comments.
I don't know if I have any.
Yeah, go
probably
right
can
ahead.
create some.
Create some. You were in the middle of one when I stopped you, I think.
Yeah. Over the past year or so, we had a couple issues come up in front of the planning that people purchased property before they had the proper zoning. And the issue tonight where entity has purchased property with the expectation that they could build a store on it because there's water and sewer that runs adjacent to the property. I just caution people who acquire property that they make certain that they don't make certain assumptions on their ability to connect or to do certain things that they want if they go in if they execute their purchase without having proper zoning or having run things past, in this case, I guess for tonight was the water and sewer, connections. So, as I indicated earlier, I'd certainly encourage the city staff, and I know they will, come back in a most timely manner with the criteria by which businesses can review and have some expectation whether they can have access to water and sewer. And that's really about all I have to say on that. So.
Okay, thank you, sir. I think Mr. Foley had his up first.
I would just like to tell the public that I'm going to ask the public to be patient with us as we work through the water and sewer issues. We've been charged with shepherding those resources that we have in a way that's fair to the city, the citizens who are paying for this, and for the commitment that we've made to build the infrastructure. And there are going to be some decisions made that would be considered to be non-growth attitudes, and I can assure people that this board is interested in growing and getting jobs. However, it needs to be done in a way that's fair to the citizenry first and all others after that. So with that in mind, I mean, all we're looking for is some guidelines with which to make decisions, and taking these issues one by one and trying to explain each one away is just very difficult. And so we're asking for some guidelines. We ask for the public's patience, and when we get those, we'll be happy to jump on board and make decisions as quickly as we can to let the city grow.
Director Garcia.
Thank you. I wanted to publicly thank our planning director, Kathy Selman, Bart Jones, with Neighborhood Services, and Rick Stoddard, planning coordinator, for a very thorough review of activities in District 5, and to commend them on how proactive they are in the neighborhood services and all of the work that they're doing in trying to be proactive and help citizens. I also had a thank you bill. The folks on Lee Circle had called and wanted to make sure that you had thank you. That debris was picked up this week, and they appreciated the work of sanitation. And as had been previously mentioned, all the work throughout the city that has been done and continues to be done for the debris pickup. Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to remind the citizens that are going to Hanamaki, Japan, not to forget the meeting, which will be Wednesday, January 27th, room 104 at the Convention Center. This is a out-of-sight, out-of-mind trip. If you've never been, you need to go. Thank you, ma'am.
Are you going?
I've been twice.
Are you going on this one?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it.
All righty. Okay.
You going?
No.
Oh, too bad. You would have had a good time.
Okay. Any other announcements? Okay. There being no further business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? This meeting is adjourned. We will now have a public commentary on issues concerning the city. Seven people signed up. Did you say 7 people? Well, we